On July 16th, 1945, the world was forever changed. For the first time ever, man had harnessed the energy of the atom, exploding the first ever nuclear device. After this breakthrough, Pandora's box had been opened, and 3 weeks later, the effects of this new technology would be felt on the other side of the world. The United States would release 2 tactical nuclear bombs, one in Hiroshima and the other in Nagasaki. It's estimated that over 225,000 people were killed by these 2 bombs. Following World War II, another war began, the Cold War. And of course, nuclear weapons only got more and more powerful, reaching their peak on October 30th, 1961, when the Soviet Union would test the largest nuclear bomb in history, the Tsar Bomba. This bomb had a maximum yield of 50 megatons, which is equivalent to over 100 billion pounds of TNT. To fully comprehend how powerful these weapons are, I think it's a lot more helpful if we look at the amount of area these bombs can affect. At a yield of 15 kilotons, the bomb dropped on Hiroshima nearly engulfed the entire city, damaging everything within 2.8 miles. If we compare the Hiroshima blast to a larger bomb like the B-83, it's no surprise, but the B-83 is much larger. The nuclear bombs used in Japan were some of the first ever nuclear bombs built, and there are now over 12,500 nuclear weapons across 9 different countries, and a single nuclear attack would probably turn into worldwide nuclear war. The true danger shows up well after the bombs explode. Contaminated debris entering Earth's atmosphere would turn a once beautiful planet into a toxic wasteland, killing far more than the initial explosions. Nuclear war is the worst case scenario for this man-made technology, but is it the worst possible disaster on Earth? To answer that question, I think we should go over all possible disasters, starting with tornadoes, the natural phenomenon that creates the most powerful wind on Earth. To reveal how much energy a tornado releases, I summed up the areas of corresponding damage levels on a well-documented tornado like the Bridge Creek Moor F5, and found that across the entire length, the tornado produced an equivalent of 16 kilotons worth of damage, which is slightly more than the Hiroshima explosion. But there's another type of storm that contains much more energy: hurricanes in the Atlantic and typhoons in the Pacific. A high-end Cat 5 hurricane releases 10 megatons every 20 minutes, and hurricanes can sustain for well over 2 weeks. So given the power, the 2-week-long hurricane would release 10 gigatons. Hurricanes are so powerful, the low pressure is able to move huge amounts of the ocean, creating the deadliest part of a hurricane, not the wind, but the storm surge. The most powerful typhoon ever recorded was Super Typhoon Tip, with a minimum pressure of 870 millibars, the lowest pressure of any tropical cyclone. However, the deadliest cyclone occurred in Bangladesh. The Great Bola cyclone would kill more than 500,000. And what's interesting is Bangladesh is the same country that contained the deadliest tornado, where in 1989, approximately 1,300 people would be killed by a single tornado. These high death rates have much less to do with the power of these storms and much more to do with the extreme population density. Tropical cyclones are by far the most dangerous disaster in the Earth's atmosphere, but things get even worse when we go deeper into the Earth's crust. The most powerful earthquake was a magnitude 9.6 near the city of Valdivia, Chile. It's estimated that this earthquake released approximately 300 megatons worth of energy, killing up to 6,000 people. The thing you need to understand about earthquakes: buildings are not able to stand through the extreme vibration, and anyone who's caught inside a collapsing building is in serious danger. The deadliest earthquake occurred in the country of Haiti in January of 2010, killing over 300,000 people. Earthquakes can also produce another type of disaster: tsunamis. Tsunamis are formed when an underwater earthquake moves the ocean floor, producing long-lived, powerful ocean surge. The deadliest tsunami was the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, taking a staggering 230,000 lives. This tsunami was caused by an extremely powerful magnitude 9.1 earthquake in a highly populated area, making it a worst-case scenario. However, there is one other potentially worse tsunami. In the East Atlantic Ocean is the volcanic island of La Palma, Spain. If the south side of this island were to collapse, massive waves would move across the Atlantic at over 500 miles per hour, impacting the entire east coast. The surrounding Canary Islands would see waves over 1,000 feet in height, Western Africa 300 feet, and the East Coast, despite being a lot further away, would still see waves over 50 feet in height. This tsunami has the potential to be the worst tsunami in history, but there's one type of disaster that's even more powerful: volcanoes. On March 27, 1980, the most powerful volcanic eruption in North American history would take place, the eruption of Mount St. Helens. Over the course of 9 hours, the volcano would eject over 1 cubic kilometer of Earth's crust, releasing about 25 megatons worth of energy. The Mount St. Helens eruption was extremely violent. However, it only registered as a 5 out of 8 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or the boom scale. One step up, at a VEI of 6, was the Krakatoa explosion, which is commonly considered the loudest sound ever experienced by humans. And even higher, at a VEI of 7, was the Mount Tambora eruption, where over 100 cubic kilometers of the Earth's crust was ejected into the atmosphere, ultimately killing over 100,000. In total, the eruption of Mount Tambora released approximately 30,000 megatons worth of energy. This is more than double the entire world's nuclear arsenal. But volcanoes get even bigger. At the highest end of the VEI scale is a VEI 8, a volcano that releases over 1,000 cubic kilometers. Fortunately, modern civilization has never had a VEI 8 eruption. However, there is one culprit: Yellowstone. If the Yellowstone caldera were to erupt, it would be the most powerful eruption in modern history, releasing over 100 gigatons of energy, making volcanoes by far the most powerful disasters on Earth. But the thing is, Earth is not a closed system. There are many potential threats from space. I'll start with the most obvious one. On February 15, 2013, a meteor the size of a school bus would enter Earth's atmosphere. The large air blast would cause many windows to explode. The Chelyabinsk event released 440 kilotons worth of energy, but the most powerful impact event happened 65 million years ago, when an asteroid about 6.2 miles in diameter would impact at the northernmost region of the Yucatan Peninsula. It's estimated that the Chicxulub impact event released a total of 72 million megatons. Following this massive explosion, the Earth's atmosphere was clouded with debris, shading our entire planet for over 2 years, extincting 73% of all life on Earth. The chance of this happening again is extremely low, but this next type of disaster happens all the time. Coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, occur when a large portion of plasma mass is ejected from the sun, causing geomagnetic storms, auroras, and in rare cases, damage to power grids. If one were to occur, like the famous Carrington event, no one really knows what would happen with all the susceptible technology now on Earth. But things get even worse when we go further into space. When the core of a massive star runs out of nuclear fuel, it collapses under its own weight and forms a black hole, emitting huge amounts of radiation. This is known as a gamma ray burst. And if Earth was unlucky enough to be hit by one, Earth's protection from cosmic rays would be instantly stripped, resulting in lethal doses of radiation for all life on Earth, making a gamma ray burst my pick for the worst possible disaster. But hold up, pause. While technically possible, the chance of this happening is so low. Basically, it's never gonna happen. So let's compare real historical events. Of all the disasters I covered, the 1970 Bola cyclone was the deadliest, killing 500,000. But the 1931 China floods were even deadlier, killing 4 million. But it gets even worse. The 1876 China drought killed approximately 13 million due to famine, which is bad, but not nearly as bad as the 200 million that died from the 1348 Black Death. So technically, disease is the worst disaster in history. But here's what I think of that. Boring. I like things that go boom. Let's take a look at all the things that go boom and see which of all the booms was truly the biggest. By far, the largest and most powerful disaster was the Chicxulub impact, which is so powerful it makes all other disasters look minuscule. A large asteroid from space is by far the most powerful disaster possible, but with modern technology and the extreme timescale between events, the chance of this happening again is extremely low. To know what is truly the greatest threat to humanity, it's important to also take into account probability, which is exactly what I did on this graph. And what I found, the more probable the event, the less harmful it tends to be. However, there's two disasters that really stick out in the top right of the graph: nuclear war and nuclear bombs, which are, in my opinion, the greatest existential threat to humanity.